Hello and welcome back to the third episode in this 5-part tutorial for the OpenVDBViewer for Linux and Mac. In the last episode we looked at the render tab, and in this tutorial we're going to be looking at the channels tab and all the goodies kept within the channels tab. You can see straight away we've already got the same file from last time loaded up. Haven't changed that, so we'll start at the top. So we've got this apply color ramp. What a color ramp is in the OpenVDBViewer is basically a ramping of color between two values. So from absolute 0 to absolute 1 of a color between two set values. So if, for example, you decided to ramp between 0.5 and 0.6, any points between any points that are outside of that value would have no colour, they'll be black, and any points at 0.5 will be absolute black, any points at 0.6 will be absolute white or red or whatever colour you've chosen, so absolute 1 for that colour, and then all the points in between will be ramped on a gradual colour ramp scale, just to see the variation of the points and how their values change. So you can apply a color ramp to a fire or cold points. We won't cover that in this tutorial, we'll look at that in the next tutorial when we look at the coals themselves, but that exists in this tab. You can also apply the color ramp to either the points, which is the XY position of the high resolution points, or you can apply it to the channel data, so the XYZ position of the channel data, which is actually what you're looking at here. So you can apply a color ramp to that. The color ramp range, as I said, can be automatic or user defined. So if it's automatic, the program will automatically detect the lowest value in the either the points or the channel data, and it will detect the highest value, and it will simply ramp between those. If it's user defined, you can specify the bottom range and the top range there, and it will ramp between those two. You can also change the ramp color if you like. To be a bit adventurous with some colours. There's also this vector here where you can basically show. So instead of just looking at the channel data as a colour as you are here, you can show it as a vector, choose the channel you want to do, change the length, and there's a couple more options there. So let's first look at the colour ramp. So if we click apply colour ramp, so by default this is applying it to the file, so it's all the points, not any color we have any applied to. It's applying it to the points, so it's applying it to the XYZ. So you can see we've actually got obviously on this side the X is obviously lower, so it's darker. And on the right we've got a lighter value where the X is lighter, and we've got darker and lighter, and you can see the points are being rammed there on colour. And the colour is obviously red, so we can just change that to 255 if we fancy, and we get quite a nice little orange colour ramp. And you can mixture of colours makes it a bit easier to sort of see the colour ramp in the 3 dimensions on the points. So if we decided we can apply it to the channel, so we know we're rendering the V channel data, so we can apply it to the channel that we're currently on. So this will apply it to the channel we're currently on. We apply it to the channel. Now we can see that within the vector channel data, it's on automatic, so it's finding the lowest vector value and the highest vector value, and it's ramping the orange colour, the red and greens between them. So you get quite a nice visual effect, and you can sort of see, so you can see where the values are lower and where the values are higher. And if we change our render value, you can see it's applying this yellow color ramp now. So you've got the higher values down here, which you can see without the color ramp, where they're a bit lighter. With the color ramp, it's easy to see that this is obviously a higher value, this is the lower value, and so it's applying those color ramps to that. So we'll change it back to V. So that's applying it to the point, to the channel or to the points in an automatic mode. So what we can do, we can change to user defined now. Things will go a bit strange because obviously there isn't 0 and 0 isn't really a range. So if we were to set this to say 0.6 and we were to set this to 0.65, let's go 0.7. So the colours we've got is obviously you've got full red, full green. So anything outside of that range is being rendered as black, and everything within inside that range is now being rendered as red or green. So anything at the lower end will be absolute red, everything at the higher end will be absolute green. Sorry, the other way around, sorry. And you can see there's there's some colour ramping of yellows in between the two values. Obviously if we make this a bit smaller, you'll get bigger values. Let's go 0.61. So you can sort of see between the ranges where the colour ramps are being applied. You can see the bottom and lower ranges a bit more clearly, and see the points that don't actually matter within this range that we've got. I'll just switch back to automatic afterwards. That's the colour ramp, so we'll turn that back off and we'll go back to the standard display. Now this show channel as vector, so at the moment we're looking at the channel as a colour, and that's all we're looking at it as. It's just a colour value on each point. If we click show channel as vector, we can actually start looking at the channel as a physical line extruding from the object. So currently we're showing a channel vector on the density channel, which is, as we know, is a black and white channel, it's a float channel. So you can zoom in and have a look. You see how the vectors are actually coming off the file, and you can change the length of the vectors to make it a bit easier to look at if you wish. And you can choose separately from the one you can choose separately from the channel you're rendering. So the channel you're showing as a vector. This is now the vector channel we're showing, the V channel. That's one we're actually rendering as well. You can also change the vector options. In the vector options, you've got this color type. So at the moment, it's just a solid color. So I can change this to be a different color. I can invert the colors, make it look kind of pretty. Whatever color I fancy. It's a bit white. Let's go. I don't know. No, it's I don't know. Make that 0. And we'll make this lovely. You can also choose to do the directions. This will actually take basically the same as rendering the points. The colour of the channel data. This will now render the vectors the same colour. So now we can see that the points we were looking at are now being rendered as vectors. And again, you can invert those colours to see where the maybe the airiness values are. Or you can see it's a solid colour. That's about it for the channel tab. Go and have a play around with it. Applying colour ramps, try different ranges. I know you can get some quite nice, interesting effects with different files. Actually, let's open up the util teapot and we'll apply a colour ramp to that. Because I know you can get quite a nice visual effect from this. So if we apply a colour ramp to that, currently at the moment it's just doing an automatic colour ramp. We'll change this to red again. Oh. There we go. Applying it to the channel, going back to the point just as we did before, and you get quite a nice shaded effect. Or we can apply a user find on the channel, and right, let's see if I can find this. I think it's that one. Nope. I've just got to find a nice value now. Let's try 0.75. The values are down the lower end of this. You can tell. So you can tell straight away that a lot of the values will be down the bottom end, because between 0.7 and 0.75 there are no values at all which have any colour. So we can look down at 0.05, 0.07, and now a lot of these values are at the higher end. So it just shows a quick way of specifying or just seeing where all these values are if you can't quite see them within the actual file itself. There we go. Oh. So you can see these values are very low down. There we go. So now we've got a nice visual display of the darker colours being 0.2, the lighter colours being 0.4, and then everything else being black. So we can easily see where these values lie within these points. So you can play around with those values, try and work out where all the points lie, or expect to automatic if you wish. Thanks very much, and the next episode will be about the culling tab, so we'll come back to this applying colour ramp to cull points when we get to the culling tab. Yes, thank you very much.